Welcome to Growth Notes, where the journey towards growth gets a daily blueprint. I'm Landon Stone, entrepreneur, certified high-performance coach, and your guide on this journey. Each day, for just 10 to 15 minutes, we dive into the core of what makes success attainable. It's all based on a simple yet powerful formula. Learning multiplied by focus equals growth. This isn't just a theory, it's actually a practical approach to living your best life every single day. Together, we'll explore real strategies, share actionable insights, and learn from the highs and lows of the growth journey. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned professional, or just someone passionate about personal development, there's going to be something here for you. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, join our community, and let's transform our today into a better tomorrow. Welcome to Growth Notes. Welcome back to Growth Notes. Today we're going to take a deep dive into the science of relationships, how they shape our lives, and why is this important for our growth. We'll be exploring some groundbreaking studies and some theories from some well-known psychologists and other well-known figures in the field. So why do relationships matter so much? Let's discuss the importance of relationships, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how they tie into the Learn, Focus, Grow model and how you can apply them to your life. So why do relationships matter so much? According to a study by Julianne Holt-Lunstad back in 2010, strong social ties can significantly increase our longevity and improve our overall health. And I don't know about you, but I'd prefer to be a little bit healthier. And what this study shows is that individuals with adequate social relationships have a 50% greater likelihood of survival compared to those with poor or insufficient social relationships. And this study was actually a meta-analytical review. The title of the study, if you'd like to go look it up, was Social Relationships and Mortality Risk, a meta-analytic review. And what they did was they looked at about 148 other studies that had been done on about 300,000 people. And what they took from this is that people that had positive relationships in their life outlived people that didn't, regardless of race, age, gender, cause of why they died. As a matter of fact, it was found that positive relationships in your life were as equally impactful to how soon you die as it was as the decision to quit smoking. This research highlighted the importance of not just the number of social connections, but also the quality of those relationships. Strong, positive, and supportive relationships were shown to contribute significantly to how long we live. And so, at the end of the day, if you want to live a longer and a happier life, go find yourself some positive relationships. And if you'd like to know how to develop those, well, then keep on listening. So next, we're going to talk about a couple other concepts into the importance of relationships. So Dr. John Gottman, he was someone that studied divorce and marital relationships, and he developed this concept called the magic ratio. And what the magic ratio talked about was that for every one negative interaction in our life, in a particular relationship, we needed to experience 5 positive ones for that relationship to sustain over time. And so this, even though the magic ratio came out of studying and predicting divorce and marriage, it should be relevant in all of the relationships in our lives, not just the romantic ones. If you've ever read the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey, he references this idea of emotional bank accounts. And he framed it in the sense of, think of your positive interactions as deposits and your negative interactions as withdrawals. And for every positive interaction, your balance of your relationship or your emotional bank account increases. And with every withdrawal or negative interaction, it withdraws. And so if you have more negative reactions than positive reactions, your account becomes overdrawn and your relationship doesn't work. So the importance of relationships, and one of the things that you want to keep in mind is, particularly when you make the decision of, is this relationship beneficial to my future and my goals and who I want to become, is how does this emotional bank account look? Do I have more negative in it or more positive? Just like we look at other things in business, does this receive a return on investment? Is this a profitable endeavor? How do your relationships look when you put them in terms of bank accounts? Now, moving on into our learn, focus, grow model, remember growth is the product of what we learn multiplied by what we focus on. And so there's a couple key points that we want to learn. And I learned this from a book that was really important to me this year. I came into 2023 with one word in mind, and that was influence. I wanted to be able to increase my positive influence in my companies and with the people around me. And it's really important to note that influence does not equal manipulation. And so I read this book, and it was written by Dr. Robert Cialdini, and it was called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. And this really took a look into how persuasion techniques can be positively applied in our relationships. And it started with the principle of reciprocity. And so the definition of reciprocity is the social norm that suggests people should return favors or kindness. And so have you ever entered a restaurant and someone held the door for you, and so you felt naturally compelled, especially in those restaurants where there's two front doors? So they hold the door for you, you enter, and then you feel compelled to hold the door from them. That's this in work. It strengthens bonds. And another practical example is at work. If someone helps you with a project, you might be inclined to offer your assistance in the future. And so this is actually a tactic on how you can increase your influence, but also how you can deepen your relationships. If someone does you a favor, naturally and psychologically, we will want to do a favor for them as well. And so one study is this fascinating study that I talked about a lot with our teams. Is it involved waiters giving mints to diners. And the study found that diners gave larger tips when they received a mint, showcasing the power of small acts of kindness. Now, another thing that is brought up in this book, and this is a really long book and these are only two concepts, but the principle of commitment and consistency. So the principle states that once people commit to doing something, they are more likely to go through with it. People desire to be consistent with their words and their actions. Now, what does this have anything to do with relationships? Well, when individuals make a commitment, whether it's a promise to a friend or a professional obligation, they are more likely to go through with it. And consistency builds trust and reliability in relationships. And so in this book, they talked about another study and how small commitments can lead to larger commitments. This is seen in sales, where agreeing to a small request increases the likelihood of agreeing to a larger request later. One of the ways that we operate on our sales team is, on the first interaction, we're never trying to sell our service. We're just trying to sell and ask for the opportunity to follow up. And through showing that consistency and that developing of the relationship, we find that we can develop trust. And the longer we remain consistent in providing value to the person on the other end, the more likely they are to feel compelled to use us when they're looking to buy or sell a home in the future. And this isn't manipulation. This is the power of positive psychology in the form of influence. And so people want to support people that support them. And so how can you apply this to your lives? Well, it depends on what you do with this knowledge. of course, learn times focus equals growth. You can learn all of this great stuff and then never do anything with it. So, how can you be better in your relationships? How can you make sure that you're implementing all of this? Well, be mindful. And so, Jon Kabat-Zinn, he's the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction program at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. And he's known for bringing mindfulness into the mainstream of medicine and society. And so what Dr. Kabat-Zinn defines mindfulness as is it's the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. It's about being fully aware of the here and the now without distraction or judgment. So what does this actually do? Well, the research suggests that mindfulness can significantly improve the quality of our relationships. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone that's clearly not there? That usually creates, as Stephen Covey would put it, a withdrawal. But have you ever been in a conversation with somebody where you just can tell they are listening? They are there. There's nothing else that's going on in their world except for the conversation between you two right now. That's mindfulness. So mindfulness also helps in reducing emotional reactivity. We talked about this in the previous episode, reactiveness versus responding. Mindfulness can help you be more responsive and less reactive. By observing the thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in the thoughts and the feelings, individuals can respond more thoughtfully and empathetically in their relationships. It also enhances your ability to communicate. And if you're a salesperson, you'll know that the number one skill set that you should have is very good communication and empathy. So mindfulness enhances communication because it encourages things like active listening and present moment awareness. And this leads to a deeper understanding, and it also reduces miscommunications and conflicts. How many times have you had an argument with a spouse, a business partner, or a client because one of you just weren't listening? So let's all tie this together and put a bow on it for today. Remember, positive relationships, they can help you live longer. Make sure to be aware of what relationships in your life are actually positive and which ones aren't. And so what I mean by that is analyze your emotional or your relationship bank accounts. Make sure that you have 5 positive interactions for every negative one. And don't be afraid to cut out relationships if you notice that they're consistently overdrawn. Things that you can be aware of. Are you being reciprocal in your relationships? Are you instigating reciprocity if you're trying to develop new relationships? Are you being consistent in the commitments that you're making? And are you being mindful in those relationships? Are you being present and engaged in everything you do? The essence of our relationships, it profoundly influences our life's trajectory. It's about learning the right skills. It's not just about friendship. It's deeper than that. It's about focusing on the present and being engaged in our interactions. It's about understanding that our growth is deeply intertwined with how we nurture our relationships and those connections. And so today I'll challenge you. Practice active listening. When in conversation, do you talk more than you listen? And do you make statements more than you ask questions? Make sure to show some gratitude. I'd love if when you get off of this podcast, to just take a minute and shoot a text to someone that you're thankful for and tell them why. Extend empathy in the conversation. Put yourself in their shoes. Relieve yourself from judgment. And these small steps can profoundly impact our relationships and in turn impact our growth. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to being back tomorrow. And just remember, every step forward in understanding and nurturing our relationships is a step forward for a more fulfilling life. Tune in tomorrow for more insights on growth. Until then, keep learning, keep focusing, and I promise you'll keep growing. So I'd love to know, what did you learn from this? Is this something that you could apply to your life? Do you resonate with the learn, focus, grow model? I'd love to know your feedback, and I want to thank you for joining me today on Growth Notes. I hope you found some inspiration and some actionable insights to fuel your journey. Remember, every day is an opportunity to learn something new. Focus on what truly matters and grow into the person you aspire to be. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, share it with friends, leave me a review. Stay tuned for more daily growth notes, and let's continue to build a community of learners and achievers. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and seeking growth in all aspects of life. This is Landon Stone, signing off from Growth Notes.